Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to follow up a little bit more specifically on Senator Warner's fine questioning here. You know, we have competition among various exchanges, too. And some of them gain an advantage by being less regulated, if you will. And I'm not so sure that's good or fair. So DEdge and BATS, for instance, they don't have to have registered market makers, nor do they have to have a consolidated audit trail, so it's hard to find out what happened even after the fact to correct them. Why should they be allowed, why should other exchanges like a NASDAQ or an NYSE have these regulations, which they should for the good of the markets, but we have other so-called exchanges which don't, even though it seems both those two, having registered market makers, having a consolidated audit trail, hell, why shouldn't they have those? And why are we letting them do this, and they're capturing a big share of the market? I'm not so sure it's because of technology as much as it is because they have less regulation.
I think over the last several years or the last decade, as the national market system grew and fragmented and splintered, and there was a view that we have to encourage lots of innovation and lots of competition, and that would be good for our traditional markets, NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange in particular. We lost sight of the fact that we also have to ensure that there are obligations on these other trading venues, that there is transparency, that there is investor-first focus, and I'm highly focused on that. We will have, I believe, a consolidated audit trail. I believe the Commission will approve going forward with that next week. And that will require all of the data, yes, from all of the trading venues.
Right. And what about the idea of registered market makers? No one's saying if someone doesn't have a faster, better technology that they shouldn't implement it. No one should have a monopoly. But if they're gaining share, not because they have a better technology, but because they have fewer obligations to protect investors, we got big trouble. And I'm worried that with these new DEdge BATS, that's just what we have.
I understand that the self-regulatory obligations don't exist on those markets or those trading venues the way they exist on our exchanges, and we have to look at that very carefully.
Are you looking to equalize?
It's clearly part of what we're looking at in our view of market structure.
Okay, well, I'm going to be watching really closely and carefully about that because, again, I don't see let me ask you this question since I have another minute. Is there any justification why these two exchanges shouldn't have a consolidated audit trail? Is there any?
I can't speak to what's happened historically. My view is no. The SEC has got to have access to consolidated audit information and order tracking information across all of the trading venues.
Okay. And second one, a little harder, but still, any justification why they shouldn't have registered market makers?
I don't know the answer to that. I guess I'd like to come back to you on that. Depends upon the obligations, I think, with respect to the market makers.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask unanimous consent that the SEC chair, who I have tremendous respect for, have 5 days to submit an answer to that question in writing for the record?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, my colleague.
Thank you, Senator Schumer. This has been a very useful questioning, and I want to push it a bit further. One of the critical events, this confluence of events, which we agree was somehow the cause, was an unusual trading of a futures contract regulated by the CFTC. But from Senator Bunny's remarks, this affected a stock like Procter & Gamble, which was clearly an exchange-traded, SEC-regulated. And it begs the question, I think, other than informal cooperation as you're exhibiting now, don't we need some more regular, systematic, not only review of the rules, but consistent rules that are derived by joint rulemaking? That was the essence of the Dodd bill. So, Chairman Schapiro, what's your view on that?
I do think we have the opportunity to bring much more consistency to these markets that are frequently economic substitutes for each other. And that is one reason we created a joint advisory committee to help the two agencies understand exactly where we could benefit most from having similar or the same